Good evening. It's great to be here to honor my friend Bill Burns. We celebrate this evening the Office of Strategic Services, the forerunner to CIA and the Special Operations community. These ties are not only a source of pride, they are a source of strength. Now more than ever, we need to make the effort to remember and honor the spirit, the bravery, and the courage that propelled our men and women during World War II, men and women who volunteered to go behind enemy lines and into a world of danger and uncertainty. The same spirit lives on today. There is a thread that ties these legends of the past directly to the brave officers serving today, who go to places we cannot imagine and do things we cannot comprehend. To the leadership and members of the OSS Society, we thank you for carrying this important torch. The Donovan Award is one with a proud history that honors the great Wild Bill Donovan, the father of American intelligence. He was a soldier and a statesman who inspired people from all walks of life to take enormous risks in the name of freedom. He displayed the type of powerful leadership and strong convictions that helped the United States and its allies prevail during the Second World War. Our Donovan Award recipient this evening, Director William Burns, is from the same mold. He reflects many of the same qualities as Bill Donovan. He leads. He inspires the men and women of CIA with outstanding judgment and great humility. In many ways, Bill represents the best of Donovan and the service he created. Bill Burns is a man who transcends party and politics. His 6 confirmations by the United States Senate are all a testament to the truly unique bipartisan respect for Bill's service. Now, like Bill Donovan, Bill Burns was made to lead during a moment of consequence. In fact, I can't think of a person with better preparation and perspective to be the director of CIA. Bill may well be the finest foreign policy and national security professional of his generation. At this moment, with a declining Russia lashing out in aggression, with an ascendant China seeking to assert itself in the great power competition in the Middle East, revealing the volatility and danger that lies just beneath the surface, Bill has the perfect mix of experience, judgment, and yes, even brilliance. He's the right man at the right time to lead CIA. I want you to think for a minute of the history that Bill experienced at the start of his career. The patient diplomacy that helped ensure the Cold War ended without a shot being fired. The building of a diverse coalition that led to Saddam Hussein's defeat in the first Gulf War. The hosting of the Madrid Conference that established the framework for Palestinian-Israeli discussions for over 20 years. That said, perhaps the most important event at the start of his career was absolutely pure luck. I'm talking about how on his first day of State Department orientation, he had the good fortune of alphabetical seating. Bill Burns next to Lisa Carty, his future wife. Ambassador Carty is an outstanding public servant in her own right, our current envoy to the UN Economic and Social Council. In honoring Bill tonight, Lisa, we're honoring you as well. The two of them together have formed a powerful team at home and abroad, advancing American interests and raising 2 incredible daughters. Much of what Bill has achieved, no doubt, is directly related to the wisdom and support of a great professional and a loving partner. So Lisa, please stand up because we all want to say thank you. Throughout his career, Bill has actively shaped history, taking on some of the most challenging assignments, and you saw some of them in the film, negotiating with Gaddafi, serving as an ambassador to Moscow, although you smiled a lot when you were standing behind Putin on that phone. At a time of real stress of our relationship with Russia, guiding secret talks with Iran that helped open nuclear negotiations. I want you to think about all that. Bill Burns truly knows the art of using influence, American influence, for good in the world, but as a student of history and a keen observer of people and events, he also knows both the strengths and limitations of American power. In a prescient memo, transition memo to the Clinton administration in 1992, he wrote the following: "While for the first time in 50 years we do not face a global military adversary, it is certainly conceivable that a return to authoritarianism in Russia or an aggressively hostile China could revive such a global threat." He wrote that in 1992, and here we are today. Just as importantly, Bill saw firsthand the importance of mentorship. He learned from some of the finest leaders that America has ever produced, legends like Jim Baker and Colin Powell. When you look at Bill Burns, you can't help but see Jim Baker's imprint in his thoroughness and strategic thinking. You can't help but see Colin Powell's impact in how Bill has always led his men and women from the front with great care for them. I've known Bill for a long time. I've always been impressed with his poise and his judgment. I've seen him take over a room, not because he has new secrets to impart, but rather because of his experience and his sense of history and his immaculate judgment. As Leon Panetta or General Mattis said, when Bill spoke, everybody listened. We got to know each other when he was ambassador to Jordan, shepherding a delicate transition from the late King Hussein to his son, King Abdullah. To say that there were complexities would be an understatement. Yet Bill handled it all in a graceful, low-key manner, his deft touch and humility always revealing enormous wisdom that benefited both Jordanian and American interests. In all of his foreign postings, and in particular when he served as ambassador to Amman and to Moscow, he treated his intelligence colleagues with trust and respect, and it was returned to him many times over. For the men and women of CIA, he was the gold standard of how a chief of mission establishes the best possible relationship with American intelligence professionals. When His Majesty King Abdullah learned of Bill's receiving the Donovan Award this evening, he wrote to me, Bill, to say the following: "I can think of no one more deserving of this prestigious award than my dear friend Bill Burns, who throughout his many decades of distinguished public service has exemplified how a patriotic American can truly serve his nation at home and abroad. His deep knowledge of geopolitical complexities and his unwavering sense of integrity have earned him the respect and often love of all who have had the pleasure of knowing him and working with him. He is a one-of-a-kind American leader." Your Majesty, we all agree with you. Bill and I had to navigate some tough moments together. Maybe he remembers, I remember. I remember a particularly difficult night in Ramallah after a horrific terrorist attack in Tel Aviv, negotiating with Yasser Arafat, paragraph by paragraph, but I had the benefit of Bill, then Assistant Secretary for the Near East, who stayed on the line throughout the night and into the morning to help. He was crucial in helping me craft the right words, even while we were both being burned in effigy a few hundred yards away. When General Donovan set out to build the OSS, his ideal recruit was a PhD who could win a bar fight. Bill Burns has a PhD, and I'll tell you, he sure as hell could win a bar fight or throw a sharp elbow on the basketball court. Please don't let that Irish Catholic altar boy smile fool you. Thank God you're not Scottish. That would have ruined the whole line. Bill is unflappable and tough as nails. When taking all of his qualities together, it's no wonder why presidents and secretaries of state have called on him and entrusted him with the most subtle of missions. It's why President Biden has done the same. He sent Bill to talk to Vladimir Putin prior to the invasion of Ukraine. It's Bill Burns who's been quietly omnipresent in Kyiv, giving President Zelensky the confidence and support needed during the most difficult times. And it will be Bill Burns who no doubt will have to provide counsel to Arab capitals in Jerusalem in the coming weeks to keep a dangerous conflict from expanding and to provide practical support to our Israeli friends in their hour of need. But it's not just abroad where he's had to focus. Since becoming CIA director, he has led this agency with great vision. He has maintained a truly strategic view of the geopolitical moment and the role the agency needs to play in the coming years and decades. He sees China as the generational challenge for American intelligence. He has redirected and reshaped CIA in order to make sure that it is best prepared to meet the challenge. He's leading an important effort to transform the agency's approach to technology. He knows the CIA has to have the most innovative tools to succeed, and he knows that a true partnership with America's private sector is essential for the agency's success. On these issues and so many more as director, Bill has displayed a boldness and purpose when the agency has needed it most. And just as important as all of this, Bill has never lost sight of the fact that people are at the core of the Central Intelligence Agency. Whenever I talk to him, without fail, he expresses how proud he is of the agency's men and women. He recognizes that he has a profound obligation to protect and enhance their well-being of his officers and their families. The focus on people is something that Bill has remembered throughout his career. Diplomacy and intelligence are all about personal connections. One of Bill's favorite quotes is from Edward R. Murrow, who said, "The most critical link in the chain of international communications is the last 3 feet." For so much of his career, Bill has embodied this idea. It is how he has lived and how he is leading CIA with humanity, personally inspiring men and women to be their very best. While Director Burns always credits his officers, the truth is they are across disciplines, firing on all cylinders, with daring and creativity to protect American interests. The mission always comes first, but leadership matters. The men and women of CIA believe in and trust their director, Bill Burns. They know that just like Dick Helms, that when you need him, Bill will always be there. That's an applause line, ladies and gentlemen. One more vignette and we're out of here. In our final months in Afghanistan, when the situation started to spiral, Bill was sent to Kabul. There he saw what it took to get our citizens and many of our Afghan partners out in those final chaotic days. He saw the tally marks on the wall in Kabul's airport that represented each and every life saved. He knows the obligations that we still have to those we have left behind, and he is committed to making it right for these Afghan patriots who helped save American lives. Bill will not abandon them. Both General Donovan and Director Burns represent men of character. Character is what stiffens the spine when you need it the most. It's what gives you the resolve you need to walk into the Oval Office and tell the president what he doesn't want to hear or what he doesn't want to believe. And Bill knows the sacredness of this responsibility. I think I know why we're blessed with a CIA director of such character. It's because of how he was raised and because of who raised him. His mother, Peggy, whom Bill has described as the devoted heart of his family, and his father, and true namesake, General William F. Burns. I had the great privilege of meeting Bill's father. I met him when I was a young Senate staffer serving in the Senate, went up to the Army War College in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, where he spent 2 or 3 hours with me explaining the intricacies of the Intermediate Nuclear Force Treaty. Now, he was the nicest man in the world to do it. He probably thought I was the biggest knucklehead he'd ever met, but he was one of a kind. You felt you were in the presence of a kind, decent man with an enormous amount of wisdom. So the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And the United States is deeply fortunate because of that. Bill, time and again you've proven that you are the right man at the right time to lead CIA. Because of you, we are a stronger country, a safer country, and a country that's better prepared for whatever may come. You've served and continue to serve with purpose and vision. You've served and continue to serve with wisdom and humility. And above all, you've served and continue to serve with honor. For this and so much more, it really is a high honor for me to present you with the 2023 William J. Donovan Award.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thanks so much, George. It is an honor to be here with all of you, with so many people for whom I have such great respect. Bill Webster is still a remarkable role model at age 99, had to leave dinner a little early, but he remains a particular hero of mine. He has combined professional skill and personal decency in equal measure throughout his amazing life in public service. It's an honor to be in the company of tonight's other awardees, my friend Ann Patterson and Tom Brokaw and Joe McGuire. And I'm grateful to everyone who contributed to that lovely, if semi-fictional film, which obscures my many flaws and embellishes my strengths. I must admit that following George Tenet on stage makes me feel a little like Fred Capps. For those of you who, like me, were not watching the old Ed Sullivan Show on February 9th, 1964, Fred Capps was the very unfortunate Dutch magician who followed the first North American television appearance of the Beatles. And unlike Fred Capps or John McLaughlin, I don't even have any magic tricks to perform tonight. But thank you, George, for your incredibly gracious remarks. Thank you for the extraordinary example that you have set for every CIA director who has followed you. And thank you for a friendship which I will always treasure. There is certainly no one I'd rather be burned in effigy with than you. It is profoundly humbling to receive the Donovan Award this evening and to pay tribute to the OSS and its founder, General Bill Donovan. All of us are deeply grateful to you, Charles, and to all the members of the Society for keeping alive the audacious spirit of the OSS, which has inspired CIA officers for more than 3/4 of a century. And you also keep alive the spirit of OSS cocktail recipes, which have supplied a different kind of well-lubricated inspiration for many of us this evening. As George mentioned, General Donovan was asked during World War II what kind of intelligence officers America needed to beat the Axis powers, and he famously responded that we need PhDs who can win a bar fight. George is right that I qualify on the first part. The second, not so much. At my age, the odds in a bar fight would be pretty long, unless it erupted at happy hour in a retirement community, a very mellow retirement community. But I'm surrounded at CIA today by officers whose courage and toughness, physically and intellectually, are every bit as formidable as General Donovan's OSS warriors. So is their dedication to our mission and their devotion to our country. I know Bill Donovan would be as intensely proud as I am of the work that CIA officers are doing every day. They are helping partners and policymakers navigate another terrible crisis in the Middle East, an unforgiving part of the world in which I have spent much of my career in public service. The barbarous attacks by Hamas 2 weeks ago have unleashed a combustible combination of violence and raw emotion whose end is hard to forecast and even harder to shape. At stations and bases across the region and here at headquarters, my exceptional colleagues are doing all they can to help our friends, to protect our interests, and to anticipate second and third order consequences. Another source of deep pride is the work of our officers in support of Ukraine's fight against Vladimir Putin's brutish aggression. That's another set of challenges that has long hung over my career as diplomat and intelligence officer, adding whatever gray hair the Middle East failed to impose. CIA and the wider U.S. intelligence community offered accurate strategic warning of the invasion that was coming. We have helped the Ukrainians to defend themselves with such bravery and tenacity, and President Biden to cement such a strong coalition in support of Ukraine. And the President's decision to make public some of our secrets, a novel but highly effective form of strategic declassification, has denied Putin the false narratives on which I have seen him thrive so often in the past. Before Putin's invasion, and even amidst the pain of America's withdrawal from Afghanistan in the summer of 2021, our officers could take pride in how we fulfilled one of our most elemental obligations. We took care of our partners, ensuring the safe withdrawal of 33,000 Afghans who had fought and bled with CIA, including their families. One year later, in the summer of 2022, we fulfilled another of our most elemental and enduring obligations to protect Americans from terrorist threats. It was not a small thing to conduct a successful strike against Ayman al-Zawahri, then the leader and co-founder of al-Qaeda, in a safe house in downtown Kabul without another casualty. And despite all these pressing near-term challenges, CIA has remained sharply focused on our long-term priorities: competition with an increasingly adversarial China, and a revolution in technology which is reshaping human society and the profession of intelligence. As Bill Donovan would have understood very clearly, you don't really have priorities unless budgets and organization reflect them. And that's why just over the past couple years, we've more than doubled our budget on the China challenge across CIA and reorganized to tackle emerging technologies with the drive and purpose that our future demands. And as Donovan would also have understood, we still have to move faster and more boldly. Bill Donovan knew better than most that you can't take care of your mission if you don't take care of your people. And he knew, too, that the richness and diversity of American society are an extraordinary asset. His glorious amateurs came from every walk of life and reflected the unique breadth of our society. He empowered women at a time when that was hardly the norm. He employed Japanese Americans, even as their families were shamefully held in internment camps. And he recruited African Americans in a time of segregation. As Donovan put it in an interview after the war, only America's melting pot could mobilize such a body of experts in the knowledge of other countries, and we did it to the great advantage of our war effort. That's even truer today than it was then, and General Donovan would be proud that last year CIA achieved historic highs in both recruitment of women and minority officers and in their promotion into the senior intelligence service. We still have a long way to go on all these fronts, from the crises right in front of us, to the strategic priorities that focus us, to the people who animate our remarkable agency. But I could not be prouder of the women and men with whom I serve, and it is on their behalf that I accept this award. Every day of the nearly 3 years that I've served as director, I've been reminded in ways large and small of how fortunate I am. Fortunate to be lifted up on the shoulders of those who came before us, of so many of you, and of our amazing forebears in the OSS. Fortunate to serve today with so many wonderful colleagues, like my incredible deputy and partner, David Cohen, and a senior leadership team undeniably smarter and more skillful than I am. Our newest officers also inspire me every day with their quality and dedication. I had a vivid reminder of that a couple of months ago when I spent a long night at the farm taking part in the capstone exercise of the Special Operations Training Course, once again a critical part of entry training for new operations officers. That seemed like a good idea at the time. When I agreed to it last spring, about 4 a.m., deep in the pitch-dark Virginia woods, I had my doubts. But it turned out to be the best experience so far of my time as director, a chance to see 4 platoons of new officers beginning to master the skills of their profession, and a chance to see them looking out for one another and developing the habits of teamwork that matter so much for our agency. At the end of the exercise, about 5 a.m., Delta Force conducted a hostage rescue operation aimed at rescuing what they had been briefed was a small group of CIA officers led by someone impersonating the CIA director. It was truly worth the price of admission to see the look on the face of the impressive major commanding the Delta team when he encountered a real live CIA director tied to a chair. It was yet another reminder of why I'm so lucky to be in this job. I am deeply fortunate to serve with all the officers who, as we sit here tonight, are doing hard jobs in hard places around the world, usually out of sight and out of mind. The risks they take and the sacrifices they make, rarely well understood or well appreciated. I accept this award for them. They're the ones who deserve it, and I accept it for their families who, like Lisa and our daughters, have done so much for me and to make possible everything that any of us ever achieve. 4 decades ago, when I was trying to figure out what to do with my life, I got a handwritten note from my dad. As George very thoughtfully mentioned, my father was a remarkable career Army officer. "Nothing can make you prouder," he wrote, "than to serve your country with honor." I've spent the last 40 years learning the truth in that wise advice, and the last 3 years filled with pride in CIA. We'll keep doing all we can to make General Donovan proud and to serve our country with honor. Thank you all very much.